Yo, Kingsley. What's happening, everybody?
Hi, Thanos. How are
Max.
you, man?
Max made what should have been a cakewalk look like it's the struggle of a lifetime.
Yeah, I know, but he was struggling throughout the week.
That's
I think
embarrassing,
his
man.
free participated was a bit better, but you can
That
still
was
give it to the credit. I think
embarrassing because King,
no,
come
no,
on,
no, it
Kingsley,
wasn't
that's
Thanos.
embarrassing
No,
because
it wasn't.
he had no
Listen,
what?
yeah, that is what Lewis used to do for us back in the day, and
No,
we'll be
no, 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 no,
screaming,
no, no,
man.
Kingsley. When Lewis had the best car, we didn't find ourselves doing needing a miracle last sector to
Now,
take
Lou, there
pole.
were
Hell
times
no.
Lewis would have to pull a lap out of the bag in some quality. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
like the guy
against yeah,
honestly,
but
but
against who?
that
But
was
against
for me.
Bottas.
That was
But against yeah,
mm.
but he did that
he
against
he needed
Bottas.
he needed to make up. He needed to make up 3 tenths because after second sector he was down 2.5 tenths on Alonso
Oh,
to make up 3 tenths. I was watching Max's on for him to make up 3 tenths in that final sector as short as it is. I mean, give it to the guy, man. I just this. I really didn't even want
no, no,
Alonso
I'm
to
not
be a
giving him that,
pole.
Kings. Come on, Kingsley. I'm not
This is
giving
the
him.
first
You know what,
time.
Kingsley?
This is the first time I'm
Hold on,
actually
hold on,
glad
hold on, hold on,
Alonso
hold on,
didn't take pole position. Max took pole position.
hold on, hold
I
on.
didn't want that.
Kingsley, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yeah, I
me?
can hear you loud and clear. Yeah,
Come
loud
on,
and
hear
clear.
me out.
Yeah.
Hear me a second, man. I'm not giving
Okay.
him that one because his only true challenger is starting dead last. Perez.
Yeah, yeah.
It shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
been this close. It should have been like he
Come
should have
on.
actually. Come on, Kingsley. Are you being serious?
No,
He
I'm
made up.
absolutely
He made
serious
up.
here. Yeah.
Kingsley. He made up three and a
Yeah.
half tenths in three
Yeah.
corners.
No,
Three and a
yeah,
half
in three corners.
in three corners. He
Yeah.
made up three and a half tenths, and you're going to tell me that I'm supposed to give him
Yeah,
kudos
he
for that?
took he on
No,
a okay,
it tells no,
look
no,
at
no.
it
Let me
this way.
finish, Kingsley.
He
Kingsley.
was
No,
throwing
Kingsley.
that
Kingsley.
car
You're not letting me talk,
into
Kingsley.
every corner.
Kingsley, you're not letting me talk.
Yeah, come
He
on.
should have never
Yeah.
been. He should have never even been in the position where he needed to do that. He
Yes,
should have
but he
never been
got
in the
in that
position. So the
position.
fact that he was in that position told you he literally he got lucky. He basically.
No, no, that's
Oh,
not that. Yeah,
Kingsley,
yeah, luck was part of it. I will agree
Kingsley,
with you.
Kingsley,
Luck was
Kingsley.
part
Come
of
on,
it
come on,
because he
Kingsley.
was actually
Kingsley, come on,
just
come
throwing the
on.
car.
We're
Yeah.
not doing that. We're
Mm.
not going to do that. He
No, no, no.
he's in a
I would do that. Yeah, I
no,
would say
Kingsley. We're
that.
not doing
But
that.
I didn't
That's
want
your reason.
Alonso to be
Your
on that
reasoning.
pole right there.
I'm not going with that reason because he's in a car that's infinitely faster than
Oh
everything
yes,
on the
agreed, agreed.
combined.
I agree with
Combined. He
that.
should have never been in that position. No way. No
Okay,
how.
look at
He
it
should
this
have
way,
never been in that
Thanos.
position. Look,
Look
no
at it this
way.
way. There were days, even when we have the fastest car, that Lewis didn't perform to the potential of the car. Were there no days like that?
But again, but who was he competing against in those days?
He was competing against maybe at some point Ferrari, then his teammates. But my point is there are weekends, even if you have the
But
fastest car, that you are not at your
yeah,
best. And this was
but the likelihood in Lewis's situation, if he's not at his best, the very likelihood is he's going to get out qualified by Bottas.
yes,
Perez wasn't
yes.
in the qualifying today.
We're not
Perez,
talking
no,
about
no, no, let
Perez
me
now.
finish.
We're not
No, no,
talking
no, let
about
me
Perez.
finish. No,
We're
no,
not
no.
talking.
Perez is
Yeah.
out of the qualifying. The Red Bull is infinitely quicker than the Aston Martin. So
Agreed.
he shouldn't
All
be
of that
in
are
that. So he
true.
should have never been in that position where he literally, did you notice he actually hit the wall
Yeah,
hit the wall.
that to tell you how much he was pushing. Yes, in those final three
So
seconds.
my
Yeah.
point is
Yeah.
again, he put himself in a
Okay,
position where he
we're not
shouldn't have
going to
been.
agree. Okay.
He shouldn't have been. I'm not
Okay,
giving. I'm
let me
not.
just
He
Hello.
almost choked away what was like easy. It should have been a cakewalk for him.
nah.
No,
He
no,
nearly
that's
I
not
think
won.
you.
correct.
Okay, Thanos. You didn't watch FP
Alex, you're
one, two,
being really
three.
unfair to Max. Even I think he did an amazing
But
job. I don't know how that car works,
but
but
my point.
I
But
guess that's what happens when you have a good
Vince.
car.
My overall point is he's in the best car. He's been quickest
Not,
in
not,
practically.
not in Monaco.
He's been quick.
Yeah,
Let me
Thanos.
finish.
I
Oh,
Over the
don't
let
weekend.
me finish.
agree.
Get my point. He was pretty much the quickest in nearly every session. He set his best time doing 11 laps on a set of tires in what Q2, right? He more than had the pace to beat everybody easily. He could have done it on one run and put it on pole. He didn't. He should have never
Okay.
found himself in a position where he was trailing Ocon.
Look, Louis
Okay,
fan
okay,
here, of course.
okay.
I'm a.
Over the weekend, if you look at maybe
Look
you
at
didn't
what.
watch the weekend, everything. FP1, FP2, that his car particularly, he was shit.
No, he
So it was
complained
one of those
he
weekends.
complained in one session. He complained in FP1 that the car wasn't to his liking. FP2, the car was
Yes.
better. FP3, the car
It
was
was
better.
better.
The car was better from
Exactly. So
FP2
he
onwards.
built.
No,
He
Kingsley. The
built
car
into
was
the
better. The
weekend.
car was better from
We're
FP2.
not going to
No,
agree on
the
this one.
car.
But the truth
Man,
is,
you guys.
for me, that was
The
his,
main
I'm
thing we're
that was a
missing,
good laugh from him. That's all I can say about it. Maybe you would have another opinion, but I think that was a very good laugh. The final sector was a
the
good
main
laugh.
thing we're missing is that the car doesn't perform very well in Monaco because it's a small track. So the advantage that the Red Bull car has is very little on this track.
Is it the car that
So,
doesn't
so I,
perform well,
I
or is it Max
despise
that
I
doesn't perform well?
despise Max as a person, right? I don't
But is it
like
the
him.
car that
But he
doesn't
drove
perform well?
exceptionally well in that
No,
last
no,
lap.
no, 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 no. Hold on. Is it the car that
The
didn't perform
Mercedes,
well?
when they were the best car, they were not even good in Monaco. What are you
Which
saying?
year? Which year?
There were
Which
several
year?
years that
Which
Mercedes was
year?
not
Pick a
good in
year.
Monaco.
No,
So
pick a year and tell me. Pick a year, Kingsley, and let me
I
debunk you.
think it was Lewis that wasn't good at Monaco.
No, it was the
Pick a
car. The
year.
car
Pick a
wasn't really
year,
that good
Kingsley,
in
and let me
Monaco.
debunk your
So
statement. Pick a year.
it's not.
Pick a
Look,
year. Pick a year.
we can argue this.
No, Kingsley,
I'm not.
you're saying when the Mercedes was good, it wasn't good in Monaco. Pick a year.
That's the track
Pick a
we can.
year. And you're avoiding my
I don't even want
question.
to pick
Pick a
it. There's
year.
several years in the dominant.
Kingsley,
How many
you're
times
avoiding my
okay, look at
question.
it.
Pick a
How many
year.
times did
Kingsley,
Mercedes win
you're
in
asking
Monaco in 8 years?
You're avoiding my question. Pick a year. You said when the Mercedes was the best, it wasn't good around Monaco. I'm going to say to you that's a lie. 2014, it was the best in Monaco. 2015, it wasn't the best in Monaco. 2016, it wasn't the best. What happened? The Red Bull came good in 2016. 2017, it wasn't the best car up until the second.
So 2016, were they not the best car?
Let me finish. 2017, it wasn't the best car. That was the Diva Red Mercedes. So that car wasn't the best car on the grid. 2018, it still wasn't the best car until after.
What are you saying? It wasn't the best car on the grid.
Let me finish. It wasn't the best car until after into the second half of the season. 2019, it was the best car.
What year was that? What year?
2018, 2019, it was the best car. It qualified 1 and 2 on the grid. 2020, we have a Monaco? Did we have a? Yes, we had a Monaco Grand Prix 2020. Did we or did we not? Someone remind me. Did we? Hello?
I don't think so.
I don't believe we had okay. 2021. Who won in 2021? So you're saying when the Mercedes was the best car on the grid, it wasn't good around Monaco. Isn't true. Because the years they had the best car, 14, 15, 19, and please tell me if we had a Monaco. And 19.
You cannot choose the year that Mercedes was
Kingsley,
good, have a good
okay,
car.
I'm not.
The 8 years they dominated.
I literally just disproved your statement.
You're actually contradicting yourself here. The 8 years that they dominated, they had the best car. At least they had the best car. In Monaco, you cannot take a year and say, okay, because they didn't win there, therefore they didn't have the best car. They had the second best car until the second half of the season. That doesn't even make
Kingsley,
any sense.
you're wrong, and I just proved the point that you're wrong. You said when they had the
You didn't
you said
prove anything.
you
You
said
just
when they had the
contradicted
best car.
yourself.
You said when they had the best car, they struggled in Monaco. The
Yes,
years
they were not performing flying high
2014,
in Monaco. Monaco
2015,
was actually a bogey track for
2019.
them anyway.
What?
Yes, it was. I mean, Monaco was not their strong suit. Let's just leave it at
we're
that.
going to disagree on that one because you're
we can
wrong
agree to
on that
disagree on
one.
that.
But anyway, you're wrong on that one. So we know. But my point still stands. Max should have never been in that position where he needed to do that because he had a car that was that car has worked in every single track. It's hit since the season started, and there was no reason for it not to work this weekend, and it was working. There was enough reason to know that car cannot work in Monaco. First of all, Monaco doesn't have straight. It doesn't have straight part of the you're
track.
assuming that the Red Bull's only strength is the fact that it has straight line speed. That's not true.
Yeah, it was
That's not true.
Yes, absolutely.
That's not true.
Absolutely,
that's not true.
It is.
So then, how did he pull 0.3 of a second in 3 corners?
Like you said, he was lucky. He was
drove really well.
That car around and hitting barriers.
Anyway,
hitting barriers.
Anyway, I'm going to move on because I disagree with you guys because he literally nearly choked away what should have been an easy pole position. It's that simple.
The problem is when you have more power on a small track, your throttle responsibility is larger. So I don't think the advantage he can make use of it is actually a liability because of the extra power.
But that doesn't make any sense either because if you go back to Mercedes in 2014-15 when they had the more power, what's the point? It's the same principle, right?
Yeah, they were always close. They never ran away with it either. When they had the best car,
they didn't run away with what?
With
what?
With the race.
Really?
For Monaco races, the competition was close.
Did you look at Monaco 14 and 15? What do you mean they didn't run away with? They literally they just basically drove to a pace that they wanted to drive to. If they actually needed to, they could have pulled at least a second a lap on everybody in Monaco 2014 and 15. Come on, man.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm referring to qualifying, because with the racing, that's probably what will happen to whoever gets in front. That's just the kind of track Monaco is. You can't follow. But so for the race, whoever is in front, that's probably going to happen.
It was really close. This whole session was really close. Are you saying that it wasn't close today?
Yes, it was very close. So that's what I mean. At Monaco, no matter what the power advantage is for the superior team of that year, generally it's close during qualifying.
Exactly.
You can't just run away with it because you have extra power.
But even so, the point
it's a larger chance of losing traction, and that's what happened with Max today with the wall at the end. It's just so much power, he couldn't take advantage of it.
He's still in the best car in the grid. This should have never been so difficult for him. He made a hard work of it.
No, I disagree.
He made What do you mean you disagree? He made hard work of it.
No,
he was
behind
Ocon.
I really don't like the guy.
He was behind Ocon. He was what? P5, just ahead of Lewis.
Thanos, who had the best car in 2016?
Mercedes.
Okay, why is Ricciardo the fastest guy in quality that year? Because Nico Rosberg, I just checked. I had to check. I knew there were years Mercedes had the best car.
Yeah.
Nico was second. Lewis was third. Lewis didn't win that. He didn't qualify in that race.
Mm-hmm.
Was that because it was bad?
Throttle responsibility is large in Monaco. When you
but then you guys are also ignoring the fact that during that period of time, Red Bull tended to build cars that only worked at specific tracks. They always went well at Monaco. It's a given fact. The Red Bull always goes well at Monaco.
Yeah, less power.
It always went well at Monaco, so I don't get your point. So what's your point?
You're arguing now. Mercedes had the fastest car, but the drivers were not pole.
Max made hard work of what should have been easy work for him. It's that simple. All right, then I've got people with their hands up on the one.
You're not being objective here. You hate Max, and you're not being.
I am being objective.
You aren't at all.
Yes, I am. You can't tell me why I'm being objective. I think he should have. I think he given the car that he has.
Okay, fine.
And how he has been performing since the season started, this should have never been that difficult.
Lewis, let's be objective. If this was Lewis today, let's just swap everybody around. Let's say it was Lewis today in a Mercedes.
Yeah.
Let's pretend it was not Max in the Red Bull that just did that lap. It was Lewis in a Mercedes that did that lap. And
we would be screaming.
I would have said Lewis has made hard work of something that he.
You would not say that.
No, you cannot. No. This is what you're not gonna do. You're not gonna tell me I can't. I wasn't gonna say that because I've criticized him just as much as anybody else on here. If he didn't perform up to standard, just like how today I criticized him because he was overdriving that car today. There was nothing wrong with the Mercedes today. It was all
too much power. That's what I'm saying. So it's
nothing to do with power.
Have the advantage. It's the disadvantage when you have that much
Lewis
power.
was overdriving that car today. Lewis was overdriving that car today. That's what.
Lewis, you're saying was overdriving?
Yes, Lewis was overdriving. The moment the lap time was in, what?
I'm sure Thanos. I'm sure Lewis, the 7-time world champion, would be pleased to know of your insane knowledge over him. I'm sure he was overdriving. Right?
What are you talking about? If you don't have anything proper, if you're going to comment at trying to insult me rather than attack my comment, shut up. If you're not going to address my comment, I'm trying to be personal. Please get out. Because I'm not being personal. I'm talking about. I don't know why you're going to tell me about Lewis, the 7-time world champion with whatever. Don't attack me. Attack my words. Because I didn't say nothing that anyone hasn't said.
If we look
he
at
was
the low
overdriving the car.
Calm down.
Once he got clear laps, he put the lap time. The lap time was in the car where if he had more time and tires, he probably would have qualified higher. He messed up in his Q2 set runs because he was overdriving the car. He was not within himself. That's not Lewis. Come on, we've watched this man race for years, so we know when Lewis is Lewis, we know what Lewis can do. Lewis was not himself today.
I was following Lewis's onboard. It wasn't that he was overdriving the car. It was that he was not generating enough heat on the tire. In fact, Bono would tell him we'll have to go for a double hot lap, like a double warm-up. He was not generating enough heat on the tires. That was why those mistakes were there. It wasn't because he was overdriving the car. He wasn't getting heat into the tires. I was watching his onboard.
And then they didn't give him a final one because they didn't fuel the car properly. So he had to just pit during the last 3 minutes. Ridiculous.
I don't know how much the crash in FP3 actually affected how much.
But the crash in FP3 was a minor crash. It wasn't even
it was a minor crash, but they had to change something.
Crash.
Here's why I'm saying it, Thanos.
All they changed was the front left-hand corner of the car and the front wing. That's all they changed.
Yes, remember in FP3, Lewis's fastest sector was sector 1. It was sector 2 and 3. He was having challenges. But in this quali, he's actually having challenges in first sector, whereas 2 and 3 was better. That's why I think maybe whether the crash had something to do with his head or something happened with the sector after the crash that he had to now not generating enough heat on the tire. I don't know. So we can, maybe when they do the debrief, that will come out.
So now we're saying, because he had that crash was minimal at best. Minimal. That was a minor crash in the grand scheme of things. If you look at his 2009 crash here, and that very same corner was worse.
Okay, so
it's a minor crash. So to say that somehow affected his confidence,
No, that's not what I said. You're putting words in my mind. Okay, explain this. From FP1 to FP3 to Q quali, he was always good in sector 1. So why will it be that after the crash, his sector 1 is where he was having issues, whereas 2 and 3 he's now better there?
Because of what you mentioned, the tires wasn't warm enough for sector 1.
Exactly. So, but what was the only thing that happened between FP3 and quali? Was it not the tire that they changed, the front tire? I'm just trying to draw. I don't know for sure. I'm just trying to at least push common sense into it. If he was good in that sector throughout free practice, and then suddenly in quali he's not good there, then I would think that maybe something happened to the sector.
For at least a couple of the laps, a couple of the laps in quali, his prep coming into quali, like he was behind traffic, he didn't get his power.
He wasn't getting temperatures into the tires. Yeah.
It's Monaco. This is how Monaco is. You're always going to encounter traffic in Monaco. You very rarely are going to get a situation whereby you don't have that.
Yeah,
that made the call interesting for me. Actually, I actually enjoyed it in a way. Funny enough, I don't know.
Yeah, except when they forgot to refuel Lewis. That was really ridiculous.
Did they forget to refuel him, or they just
taken him in? They would have taken him in because you can't refuel in pit lane. You have to take the car inside. Then he would not have enough time to come out and redo it again. I think that was why they gave up.
Yeah, and I think he had something up his sleeve. He had something up his sleeve because if you look at the low speed times, he wasn't even on the top 6 list.
Oh, he was asking Bono, why can't I go out again? And Bono had to tell him that they don't have this time to actually do that. He really wanted to go out again, but
I think he was saving something for that last.
Yeah. But for the first time in my adult life, I'm happy Mas was on pole and not Alonso.
I'm not happy. I wish both of them had actually crashed. So I can't be happy for either.
Okay, if you have to choose between both of them, who?
I don't know. If I have to choose between the both of them, I'd rather just not choose at all.
You don't have the option.
Take away my right of choice.
Today I was just happy it wasn't him.
All right. Hold on, because let's bring the temperature down back in the room. It's a bit hot. Anthony, Vims, and then Ryan.
Boy.
Actually, Anthony, you go last because you come in, you just kill everybody's vibe because you go.
What do you mean kill everybody's vibes? Listen,
because you just go.
Look, I've been ill from since last week Sunday, so allow me this morning.
Sorry, brother.
Okay, what's wrong with you? What's up?
Yeah, sorry, man. I didn't.
No, I've been flu and all that in it, so I've been ill, but
you've been arguing with someone on Twitter about.
Yeah, no, I've been straining my voice for the past couple of days.
Oh, sorry about that, man. Sorry.
That's cool. What a lap by Ocon. Flipping hell, boy. That was just. Never saw
that
that.
was a special lap from him too.
Never saw that coming. But what I would say about the Mercedes, we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. I think
tomorrow.
What's going to happen tomorrow is a
tomorrow. I thought you were
snooze fest.
going to say
Nothing's going to
Spain
happen.
next week. I thought you were going to say Spain.
What I would say is that Alonso and Verstappen, them two on pole, it's either they're going to crash. Something's going to happen between them two, because Alonso wants to win, and Verstappen is going to. I think they're going to crash into the first corner tomorrow.
Alonso cannot crash into Mass.
Alonso will go for it 100%.
Yeah, I think he'll go for it, and I think Charles is going to get. I think Charles is going to get a penalty, from what I saw of him blocking Norris. So,
yeah, he got it already.
Yeah, he's under investigation. So, I think.
Where did he qualify?
Who Charles?
Sainz is third. Yeah.
Charles was what, fourth? I think.
So more likely probably
Charles was third, wasn't he?
Yeah, if Charles is third, and if he gets if he does get a grid penalty for impeding Norris, Lewis will go up to fifth and Russell go up to seventh. So I think if Lewis gets a good start tomorrow, because the way that I see the Mercedes working now, from a couple of races ago, from what they've added to the car, I think Lewis is now more comfortable in the car, and he didn't point out what aspect he's comfortable with the car, but I think he's a bit more comfortable in the car, which is when you saw his qualifying laps, it's like he's a bit more comfortable in the car. So it could be a shock podium for a Mercedes tomorrow if Leclerc gets a penalty.
Podium would require, for him to get a podium, it would require people in front of him DNFing.
But when it comes to Lewis and his starts, I think Lewis will jump.
But you have to remember the run. Monaco has the shortest run to turn one.
Yeah, I know.
On any track on the grid. And remember, and it tightens up going into turn one. The likelihood of him jumping someone there, it's going to be
and he has to pass Ocon.
A lot of things will need to happen.
It's ridiculous to drive.
Yeah, I'm not banking on him actually jumping anybody at the start going into turn one. That's just way too tight and too risky.
Too risky
And I think he's just going to play cautious, if anything.
The longer game, probably 60 car or something.
His thing is going to be not to lose position. That's his first priority, not to lose position.
I agree.
Because if he loses position, then he pretty much knows that's probably going to be where he's going to finish the race. So it's a matter of just hold position and then.
Was it going to be what medium? Was it going to be what, a one stopper? What would be the best strategy?
It's always a one stopper.
Probably a one stop. Medium, then hard.
Medium, then hard. Okay.
In that case, they should start Lewis on hards.
Yeah. Okay, hold on, guys. We're going to use the hand signal. Vims, and then I think it was Ryan after Vims, and then Sid and Mr. T.
I was just going to say, today we're really lucky because I think Lewis could have been out in Q1 today. That's how bad it was, this qualifying. And I think, it's possible for him to be on the podium because who's in front of him? Ocon and Sainz. Ferrari might just, fuck things up. And I don't think Alpine is, in the correct headspace to, actually stay P3. So it's possible, and who knows, maybe Alonso and Max might do something and crash together. I think podium is possible. If not, we're gonna be P4. So be positive, though it's Monaco.
It's not a matter of not being positive. It's the nature of the track you're at. For you to move up the grid, it requires something drastic to happen in front of you. I mean, we saw Ricciardo won.
Oh, we can pray for rain.
I mean, we had rain. When was it? Last year.
It was last year.
Last year we saw what happened when we had rain last year.
Alonso was drawing it. Oh, come on, that's rain was shit, man.
We're pretty much. It's Monaco, so it's pretty much going to be a snooze fest from start
Alonso
to
was
finish.
driving around on road car speed. Everybody was behind him.
At one point, Alonso was something like 30 seconds behind P3.
Yeah, he was just that was crazy race, man.
Yeah,
I don't look forward to Monaco races. I just the quality is it for me, and after that, I just go no, but it's not.
You guys have any idea why the track evolution was so insane this year? I don't ever remember it being
They resurfaced the track. Apparently, the track was resurfaced. In sometime this year? So it's a brand new track.
I think it was within 2 hours they resurfaced the track.
They said it. No, they did it in 2 days.
No, why are we thinking there was was there really an evolution actually? Charles qualifying pole last year was what 11.3. It's 11.3 now, so I don't know if there was actually an evolution of the track.
Well, you could say that because guys were getting quicker the more they got into the laps, so the track was the evolution gain was higher than the drop off in time.
Probably true, yeah. True.
So, when you saw that Ocon lap, did you really think Ocon? Okay, what the hell? Where did that lap come from?
I don't know. Maybe they optimized the car for Monaco. Who knows? I don't know.
And I think Monaco is more about driver than it in some ways than it is car. Because if you can get the closer you can get to the barrier,
you get more lap times from it. Yeah,
the more lap times you have there. So it's a mix. I think it's a mixture of driver confidence, and the track did evolve in lap times because you saw it through. At one point, Albon in Q1 was P1. Granted, they use up all the soft tires to do that, but All right, cool. What's that? Who was it? Rian, and then Sid and Pani.
That was the order.
Hello. Get well soon, Anthony. Just wanted to talk about when Lewis crashed. I think I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it. If he got distracted by the traffic, I've seen it back that he had to overcorrect the car a little bit, and then he crashed in the corner. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. So, what is your opinion about that?
Yeah, I actually watched that part of the FP3. I don't think he overcorrected. I think he came in with too much speed. So by the time he knew the rear was in, and the funny thing is, the rear of that car has been a bit stable this weekend, but for some strange reason in that corner, I think he came to too much speed, and the rear gave up on him. And Lewis. Yes. The correction. I don't know. I think he was trying not to crash the back into the barrier, because it was a back. So he basically maneuvered the steering to make sure the front probably crashed into the wall. There was not much he could have done in that corner. Actually, I don't think it was traffic either, because I think it was the Alpine who was on his right when he was coming in. It wasn't even close to him at all. So I don't think it was traffic.
Or he was trying to do a Nico Rosberg 2014 and drive down the get a yellow flag. Probably that's what he was trying to do. Just start screwing. Might as well just crash it and get over. I don't. It was just one of the crash. You look at the crash. It's so innocuous. It was kind of like you look at it like, how did you manage crashing it? Nothing looked out of place. If you run back his every lap he did prior to that, he did probably the exact same thing, the exact breaking point, the exact turn in. And it's the same thing. It just so happens that at this point in time, it just got away from it. And you said about, could he have been distracted? You could also, you could also say the same thing for Perez.
Yeah,
because it's a similar situation, right? Someone was coming. Someone was on,
the pit lane line. Yeah, and then
exactly, and it's a right-hander. They were coming up to a right hand and the same sort of thing happened. So, he could have been distracted, or it could have just been, again, it's just one of them things that it just got away from him. He thought he could have saved it, and the front tires just lock up. But, the damage, as I said, it was a pretty innocuous crash. It wasn't anything that I think would have dented his confidence. And again,
I agree with you. I agree with you on that one, because
if
Lewis was actually trying to pull the car,
then you could understand it. Oh, yeah, this might dent the confidence, but. Yeah, but he crashed there in 2009, so crashing is not unusual to him. So I don't think it dented his confidence. Anyway, I already said I think he was overdriving in Q1 and Q2, and I think he finally got into his rhythm in Q3. I was told I'm not a seven. I shouldn't tell the 7-time world champion that he was overdriving. Anyway, Sid.
I was dead.
I'm throwing shade at Diddy.
I know. Yeah. And I think Louis himself also talked.
Diddy have a love-hate affair on this platform.
Yeah. Louis actually taught
she knows at the end of the day. She knows at the end of the day we have heated conversation, but it's that's where it stops. It's just conversation. No, there's no bad feelings between
it's
either
family
of us. It's all
feud.
good. Yeah, it's all good. Sid, what's up?
But man, she always has speaker issues. Whenever she comes, she's never clear on any of the spaces.
Sid?
Didi.
Yeah, Didi sound like she's a Dalek. I don't know why. I think she probably has
always
an
is
Android
having
phone.
problems with her internet connection. Never really struggle to hear her clearly.
Yeah.
But man, I think tomorrow it's either Alonso is going to take the lead on the first corner and then he's going to struggle. He's going to frustrate Verstappen the entire race, or Verstappen is going to drive away into the sunset, is going to win the race. I think it's between one of those two who's going to do it. I don't think there's going to be any rain. Haven't heard much about it. And people who are still expecting miracles from Lewis, please don't. There isn't going to be one. We are way off pace with the likes of Aston Martin, and I don't know, surprisingly, even Alpine are faster this weekend.
What
So
on
really not
pace? Are you
expecting any
saying on
miracles.
race pace or what?
Race pace, you talk
No,
about
race
single
pace.
lap
No.
pace.
Race pace. Mercedes is good. It's just that it's useless on this track. You don't need race
No,
pace
it's
again.
yeah. So basically, you're making my point. There's no
Yeah,
there's
the
no
quality
point in
was
doing
what
that.
the
So
qualifying is where your point is. Once
and
you
I,
get
I
to
and I don't
qualifying,
and I don't think Mercedes, if you when you want to define something as good, what is the benchmark that you're setting for good? What do you think good means? Is it better than Red Bull or Aston Martin? Is it better than Alpines, or is he like worse than Alpine? What is good in your definition?
good as in how? I don't understand the question.
No, you told me the pace is good,
Yeah,
and
the
I
pace is
said that
good.
we don't have the
The
pace.
race sim yesterday, Lewis
I
was
said
matching
I said the
Max.
pace is not as good as we're not better than Aston Martin. We're not better than Red Bull. Obviously, we don't do faster than
If you look at
Ferrari.
the
You
race
said the pace is
simulation
good,
yesterday, if you look
Yeah,
at the race
but
simulation from yesterday, they were better than Aston Martin.
guys, it's Monaco. No one
It's
cares about
useless. That's
race.
my
No,
point.
one-
If
no
they
yeah.
one
were
cares
So
better, it's
about
nobody.
the
useless.
race
Yeah.
simulation because you just need to make sure you qualify in a certain
Exactly.
position, and
It
the
doesn't
way you
matter. Yeah.
qualify is like
That's the
99%
position. You can just make
of
time.
Yeah,
your
there's not
race.
going to be any overtake. So we're not even talking about the pace. But even when it comes about, I think it's going to be decided in the first corner. If Alonso takes the lead, then he's winning the race. He's going to frustrate Max the entire race. If Max takes the lead, then it's going to be an easy win for him.
I
But
think
the thing
this is
is,
what if Alonso takes the lead, what Max is going to push him,
To
and
burn an
he
entire.
has.
Yeah.
does Alonso have the pace
Yeah.
to
To support.
run that Max can potentially run?
But
Like
man,
you
I
He
said,
mean,
can. Yes, he
Alonso
has the
is
pace.
knows how
Mm.
Alonso knows where to park the
Yeah.
car. He did it last year. He frustrated Lewis a lot in the last year, or was it 2 years back in some Monaco race? So he does know where to park his car, and he can do that really well. And
it,
Verstappen, with all his aggression and all his frustration and all his pace, I don't think he's smart enough to get past if
yeah,
Alonso is in the mood.
they
No,
can
he
pass in the
can
pit. If
push
you
him
pass
and
him,
use the pit stop to pass him.
yeah, because
He
if
can
all
push
he
him
needs
and
to
use the
do
pit
is
stop.
if he
Yeah.
keeps within 2/10 of him, pits
Yeah.
do the undercut, his outlap
It's
should
open.
be
Yes.
enough
Yeah. To
to
Maybe,
pass.
jump
Yeah.
Alonso.
maybe.
Yeah.
I
Maybe.
mean,
I think even Aston Martin would be worried about that, so they might also try an undercut because obviously Red
yeah,
Bulls are really
but the
fast.
problem for Aston Martin, here's the problem with Aston Martin. If they pit first, Max still has enough pace where he can
To go
pull out,
further. Yeah. To go further.
go further and still pull
Yes.
out a gap.
So
That
do the opposite.
basically,
Yeah.
so if Alonso jumps him, Max is still in the driver's seat because he can
Yes.
undercut
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
and he
can
can
yeah.
overcut because
overcut
he
whatever one.
naturally has the pace
The pace. Yeah.
around here over everybody. So
Yeah.
But
even
bro, I
if
do
he
think it's going to
keeps,
be between those two.
huh?
I do
Yeah,
think it's going to be between those two.
obviously, I don't see anyone threatening them for position. And like you said, if the position stays the same after lap one, who's in third? Sainz? How's Sainz going to get past Alonso?
No,
That
it's
Ferrari,
Leclerc.
Leclerc.
Is third.
He's not going to get past Alonso
It's a perception.
anyway. Anyhow, it's going to be. It's again. We've seen Ricciardo won the race in 2018, driving on the ice alone. He was 360 bhp down, and no one could pass him.
He won the race.
So I don't see anything changing once positions are established after the first lap. What we might see, the only place we might see any action is Perez coming from the back, because he should have enough pace.
I don't. I think I'm so confident about him not going through the entire pack this time, because it's definitely not an overtaking track. But the interesting thing is that people are saying it's going to be a one stop. So mostly the teams are going to start on the softs, get rid of the softs, and then do the entire
they're not using the
stint on the
softs.
hards.
They're going to start on the medium.
I doubt that, mate. I think they're going to get rid of the softs as soon as possible, and then they're going to run all the way on the hards. It's very easy to cover the entire race on the hards. But you don't have to
start on the soft tires, so most people would just go for the medium. Why start on the soft tires?
That would be a terrible strategy, because then if there's no incident, you end up having to pit early and fall way back.
Exactly. So you're going to go for the medium and run as long as they possibly can. No one's going to use the soft tires, because what benefit are you going to get from it?
There's the possibility of rain too.
I mean, the track position is going to be so important. I get you. I get your point. There are risks of safety cars. There's been a lot of safety car. I do think there are going to be at least 2 more safety cars tomorrow. So yeah, there is a chance, but it's that way. The track position is so important.
I would say that if Mick Schumacher was driving, but since he's not on the grid, I don't think we see that many safety.
Leclerc, I can see Leclerc clashing it tomorrow. I think I think sorry about any of the Ferrari fans who are here in the space, but I think he's really driving on the edge these days. Really,
have you seen the car they've given him? Have you seen the car
already did that. It's only one car per weekend, so Sainz already crashed. It's not going to be.
All right, then, cool. Thanks, Sid. Panny and then Hayden. What's up?
Yo, what's up, everyone? Right. Firstly, heated debates that you guys talk about, they're good, man. Lets you get things off your chest. So heated debates is a good thing sometimes. Right. Going on to tomorrow's race, I genuinely think that the race pace tomorrow initially will definitely be dictated by what the weather forecast holds. I've been looking over the last half hour or so, 3 separate weather forecasts, and it's anything between 60% and 80% chance of rain, and it's between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So we could actually have race either
so basically no rain's going to fall then. All right.
I don't know. 80 Met Office are pretty decent. They're European weather forecast, but tomorrow will be where are we? We're like 22 hours away from lights out now, so 21 hours. Tomorrow morning we'll get a better indication of what the weather forecast is going to be. The reason why I'm saying that is one of two things. If they know that rain is going to fall, the guys at the front are going to want to drive at a fast pace to kind of build themselves a buffer so that they can then react to if the weather drops. If it's going to be a dry race, they're going to just start out, get into turn 1, and then just be running anything between 5 and 6 seconds off the pace, concertina everyone up so that nobody basically can get a jump on anyone. So therefore, the person leading the race has first dibs as to when he pits, and then he knows full well that then they'll kind of pretty much.
But isn't that still a risk though? Because the person in first place could pit and then come back up behind someone who hasn't pitted and get stuck there for like 3, 4, 5 laps, and then whoever is in P2 can benefit from that. So it's a bit risky. I think what you might say is they're definitely gonna. Whoever is leading is going to control the pace, and then at some point you're going to see the pace start picking up, and that's when okay, they're trying to spread the feeler, the grid out now because it's coming close to the pit stop, and they don't want to be in a position where they come back out behind someone and they get stuck. I mean, we've seen it happen before, so
we see that countless times.
It's a risky strategy, you
definitely. But I still think that if rain is definitely in the air, I think there'll probably be more on it, knowing full well that it's potentially then if the chances are it's not going to be a one-stop strategy, I think they'll start off on the faster tire and actually run at a faster pace. If they know there's no threat in the air, they'll kind of dictate the pace, knowing full well that once they stop for one set of tires, and that's it to the end of the race. But with potential threat of rain, meaning that they'll at some point have to go to inters, the likelihood is it will then be a two-stop race, unless it kind of continues to rain and they finish on the inters. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's just it. After qualifying, there's not really much else to look forward to, and unless there's either the weather comes into play, or somebody kind of like has an incident, and then it can like potentially like causes a little bit of mayhem. But that's it. That's kind of all we have to like look forward to.
I'm surprised you're looking forward to something.
Metaphorically speaking, let's just put it that way. But yeah, I'm not expecting. I'm not expecting a great race. I don't think nobody is. It very rarely is it? So we'll just wait and see what happens.
I think the solution for Monaco is once they do qualify, and they just say pack up and get moved the
pack
next
up
race
and go
and go to and have the day off on Sunday. Don't point racing because what's the point? It's just going to be another snooze fest, and we're going to come in here and trying to figure out, okay, what was exciting about that race? I guess the only thing we can do is that me and Diddy just start a fight. I think that would probably be the most exciting thing that happens tomorrow. So Diddy, get your gloves on because we might have to start fighting tomorrow just to create some excitement. Because you bare knuckle? Even better. Let's go. We ready. Let's go. All right.
Nice
Hayden. Nice one. Thanks, Penny. Hayden, what's up?
Yeah, tomorrow for the race, I'll be hoping for Leclerc win because he's had so much bad luck.
What did you say? What did you say?
Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed, but that was funny.
I'm hoping for him to win tomorrow. But I had a question. What are you guys' thoughts on Lewis as far as waiting around with Mercedes, or should he move to another team? There's been a lot of stupid rumors about Ferrari and stuff like that, but I was thinking a team like McLaren would probably be a better place for him because...
Sorry, what? A team like who?
What are you smoking?
So hold on. Hayden, you're suggesting Lewis leave a factory team to go and become a customer team?
Yes, let me tell you why, right?
Okay.
I am one of the few who believes that Lewis lost his championship not just because Max was bumping him off the track all the time, but whenever you're in the lead of something, whether it's a basketball game or winning championships in Formula One, eventually there's a certain level of your racing style, your racing practice that lacks use. And Lewis really, for a while, due to the domination and just having mostly teammates, he wasn't at his best when he was the driver, let's say 10 years ago, who sometimes had to battle a bit more. And so when Max came up, Max was always battling a bunch of people all the time, pushing others off the track, and Lewis just wasn't ready for that yet. Lewis is so much better of a driver in the last 2 years, I think, overall, than in 2021. In 2021, I think it caught him off guard, but also the team. So the reason why I'm talking about the move from Mercedes is because Mercedes, just like today, they underfuel the car, the most critical window, he couldn't go out, and they keep making a lot of mistakes like this. And look at Aston Martin, how they're on the ball, ready to go because they're hungry. I think Mercedes has lost a lot of that hunger, and other teams like McLaren would love the opportunity to regain dominance. And I think Lewis would be he loves that team already. He's been there. He could return home before he retires.
Okay,
no.
let's just quickly.
Hold on. No, Kingsley, I have to go first. We can double team him. You can have him. We can.
I want to do the last part first, Thanos.
Because
the one about underfueling, because I'm seeing that a lot that the car was underfueled. I want to quickly address that and can give you the floor to go with. The underfueling is actually total rubbish. Lewis had just one set of soft tire left. So his first run he did on a used tire. Now, the only soft tire that he had left, they had to fuel the car for that tire alone. They didn't have to fuel. So if he was going to come in for a new set, then you can tell they will add more fuel. They refueled the car for that last set of fresh tire that he had, and that was what he used. So Lewis didn't know that. By the time he came back after his main run in the second set of the new tire he had left, he asked if he wanted to go again. He said, you can't, because number one, you can't even get more out of that tire. It's already an old tire. Number two, the car was fueled optimally for this tire alone. I don't know where the idea about the underfuel the car is coming from. It's actually total nonsense. That's not what happened.
So
now
okay,
you can
cool.
take
And you can't, and the fact that I know, so you have to present a liter of fuel to the
exactly.
for
Why would
checking.
you want to
Yeah.
overfuel a car when you have just one tire to use it for? I don't know where that idea is coming from.
I mean, I guess people are interpreting based on what was said to him when Bono said it's fuel limitation.
Yes,
They're
of course.
assuming
Okay, they didn't know that Lewis had just one tire left. If he had two tires, yes, they would fuel him for two sets. It's just one. So why would you add extra fuel to a car that you know is going to run only one set of fresh new tire in that particular
Kingsley,
set?
then that highlights poor communication, because clearly Lewis thought he had another run left, yeah, and that.
We're not going to do the poor communication
No, it wasn't
thing
poor.
now.
It wasn't poor
Because we had
communication.
this before.
He forgot. In FP2, I'm sorry, in qualifying 2, Bono told him that they will use the previous tire they used in FP1 to start. And then in FP2, after the second run in FP2, he was told he had just one soft left, one. He actually asked how many tires he had left. They told him he has one left. So in FP3, he went out first on a used tire. And the commentator didn't say that, because when he was done, I think in 11 or 12, they were shouting, oh, Luis is in whatever position he was. But when he came back, he had to take the new soft. And there was no way you could add more fuel to a car that was going to do just one major run on the soft tire. I don't know where.
So why send them
Are
out?
you allowed to fuel the car now in the middle of the session?
You can fuel, but you have to put it in the garage. You can't
you have to take it to the garage, yeah.
Yeah, but why did they send him out so early then? Everyone knows the track evolution was insane this year, so they should have let him.
The safety cars is always a problem.
There was a crash.
If you leave
Look, the crashes
him out and
too,
someone
he had to
crashes,
get in one
and then you'll be here saying, why did
you're
they
going
not
to be
send
saying
him out?
why you didn't send him out earlier.
Exactly.
So it's a no-win situation. But to address your point, Hayden, where you're saying going back to McLaren and whatnot, there's absolutely nothing at McLaren for Lewis to go back to. That team is not going to progress. It's not going to win a championship. It's dead. McLaren is, as we know it, is done. It's not the same. It's not the same team he left. This is a completely different team being run by a guy who's more about marketing than about performance. McLaren are and a team that had was a factory team, gave up that right to be a factory team because of that idiot driver, right? Now they're back to being a customer team. No, going back to McLaren is definitely off the table. Lewis, and again, this is what annoys me with all of this talk about Lewis should leave Mercedes. So you're telling me a team that he has won 7 championships with, won what, 9? Was it? He had what, 21 races when he had won 21 races. So he has won. Was he on 103? So he's won. Yes. So he's won 82. Was it? I can't do. Someone do the maths. What, 79 or 82 races he's won, or whatever it is, with Mercedes. He should leave that team because they're having 2 bad years of performance.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I think the team has reduced their.
Okay. Wait. Let's just.
You want him
to go to McLaren? That Mercedes actually beat the last 2 years that Mercedes had bad car. They were still beating the McLaren.
McLaren is still behind Mercedes in the
exactly.
In the
so you want him to go
why should he go to McLaren? It's the same argument saying he should go to Ferrari. Why should he go to Ferrari? Ferrari has not looked like a team that it could win. You could give it. I think if you give Ferrari an endless budget right now, give everyone the same budget cap, they still wouldn't win the championship.
Yeah, I think him and Lando together would just be amazing. Sorry.
No, I don't. Going back to McLaren,
I don't think he wants. And then
it's.
And my point is that 2021 Lewis, I don't know how you can say that wasn't Lewis at his best. I don't understand. I
agree with you, Didi. That was what I wanted to talk about. How can you say Max bumped him out of the track or something that he wasn't prepared for?
Okay, before you respond and debate it, make sure you understand my position. I'm saying that Lewis is an incredible driver at pace, and he is my favorite driver. Only second person after that would be Senna. But my problem was in 2021, I could tell that he wasn't aggressive enough because he got so used to having the second chances. And Max he doesn't even do that right now with the fastest car. You know, he had the opportunity to do that in Baku.
Lewis was never in a position to be aggressive because he was never leading that championship.
You saying
aggressively enough in one because of the reason.
You saying he wasn't Aiden? You're saying
no. I want him to explain his point first and then respond.
Yeah, so basically I'm just saying that over the period of the last 5 years or so, Mercedes has done so exceptionally well, and largely in part to Lewis's incredible driving ability. But that ability and his feedback in the setup of the car had created this car that for a long time he battled mostly his teammate. It doesn't mean that he's not an incredible driver at overtaking, but his usage of it was not as much as it should have been because he didn't have that much competition to keep the practice alive. And so when Max came in 2021, it was a shocker, and he did drive as a good should have.
No, hold on, Eden, I'm gonna have to stop you there because I'm not.
Why are we breaking up?
Man, you guys all are breaking.
Thanos,
you're breaking, man.
Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah, but it's breaking.
We can hear you, but you're breaking.
No.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you still
the hello and the hear me thing is happening, but it's very inconsistent.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Is
I
it
think
better
go on.
Both Thanos and Diddy are breaking up.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
We can.
Is it better?
Yeah,
we can hear you. It's better. Go on.
So Hayden, you're saying.
Go on, man.
So Hayden, you're saying Lewis somehow, because he was driving at the front of the grid, he somehow forgot how to race aggressively until he came up against. I don't buy that, because even whilst he was at the front of the grid, he still had to race aggressively because he was being challenged by someone within that time. It was either Rosberg, it was either Bottas, 2016, 2017, Sebastian Vettel, 2019, 2020. So the thing with Max, or the thing with Lewis is, Lewis has evolved as a driver. I think if it was 2007 Lewis, he would have no problem crashing into Max every single race because he wouldn't care. But he has evolved. He's now more thinking championship rather than just winning a race today. He's thinking bigger picture. Max could afford. Max took an approach whereby he didn't really give a shit. We crash. He doesn't care. Lewis didn't think like that. Lewis thought, well, I need to win I'm trying to win a championship, not only for myself, but my team. I've got people who are relying on me to bring this car to home every single race, right? So he's about gathering points and winning. I don't think he lacked any form of aggression. If he needed to be aggressive, he needed to be aggressive. We saw it in Silverstone, and everybody said, "Oh, he tried to kill Max." And I'm thinking, okay, so the one time he decided, you know what, I'm not budging. This is what happened. He's now the bad guy. If Lewis needs to race aggressively, Lewis will race aggressively. We saw it against go back to Monza 2018. And as an example, even Monza 2019, him and Charles, I don't get this. I don't get where you're coming from. Where you think he is somehow, because you're basically saying, hold on, Kingsley, because you're basically saying he has somehow regressed as a driver simply because he was so used to be racing at the front.
No matter how expensive a knife you purchase, if you don't use it, it's going to get dull. And all I'm saying is that Lewis,
that's not true.
Got to, because of the hard work and his supreme skill
as a driver. If you buy an expensive knife.
But I'm just saying that he's now sharpened a lot more in this.
Hayden, let me just say this to you.
Remember before the end of the season, he said you're going to see a different driver. I think he recognized as well in himself that he has become.
No, Hayden.
No, this is not what you said.
Hayden, listen, let me tell you this. Lewis was never in a position in 2021 to race aggressively because he was never in the lead. Max can crash into you and he will still retain his championship position. Yes. He will crash into you and retain his position. Lewis was making avoidance.
Let's just say I don't think Russell will beat him this year because he's driving from the back a lot better than he did last year.
Can I also say, Hayden, is that in 2021, I not only think that we saw the best of Lewis because he not only maintained his composure, but actually what you're forgetting is that it is a team race, right? We also saw some of the what you did see is that when you talk about a knife being, if it's not used it gets dull, etc., you're forgetting that actually they were able to rely on the fact that they had Lewis and they had the fastest car. So I think we did see some of the weaknesses come to light, and that we did see. Yeah,
to be honest, it wasn't the case in 2021. Mercedes initially did not have the fastest car. It was the upgrades that came on later.
It's true. He didn't. You're right. He didn't have the fastest car, but as in the past, as in the preceding season, 2020, the W11, for example, they had the fastest car. So when the W12 came and it wasn't the fastest car, they could not rely on that. Therefore, they had to then pull the, all the links make the chain. Yeah. So the weakest one is exposed. So they had to rely on the other things. They didn't have to rely on having the fastest pit stop before. They didn't have to rely on having the best strategy before. Therefore, those things were exposed more. So when we didn't have, when we had average pit stops, they were suddenly under the spotlight. We were like, why are these pit stops suddenly not like, because we didn't have to have the fastest pit stops. We could get away with safe average pit stops were what Mercedes did because we just needed to be safe. Well, now we needed them to be slick because Red Bull had opened all.
I mean, a Thanos face
Thank
without
you for
DB
making my
complaining
point.
about
That's what I've been trying
man.
to say, that Mercedes has lost that edge because they haven't had to be that great.
I mean, you never forget to mention that Mercedes and pit stops.
But is it not the same? But is it not the same thing for Red Bull?
Yeah, but Red Bull did. They had their pit stops were like 2 points.
Yeah, but
give Red Bull 5 years.
But hold on, but those quick pit stops still didn't help benefit Red Bull that much, did it?
But they did.
How? Because they were still slower than Mercedes. So even if they had 2.2, average 2.2 second pit stops, and Mercedes were doing 3-second pit stops, they were still slower than them.
Oh, in the preceding,
they're still.
I mean, marginal.
In the
whole cycling, what's his name, Brailsford attitude, marginal.
I mean, the point what Thanos is trying to make is, even though pit stops may make some difference, it's always the car. It has always been the car. The fastest car is manages to cover.
In what did it?
In 2021,
God.
It wasn't like Red Bull did have probably the fastest car, but it wasn't a dominant car. The W12 wasn't the dominant car. Neither was the Red Bull. They were like, I would say the Red Bull.
But if you look at 2021, which races really where pit stops really made a difference for
and it's not just the pit stops, right? It's not just the pit stops. It's not just the car.
Yeah, there was a strategy, like leaving him out because before Lewis was able to pull it off on hards.
Like which race?
Because Mercedes just couldn't react fast enough. They were just so
which race? You keep saying they couldn't react fast enough, because if you know what, and it's the thing I mentioned the other day. This what's her name? The Red Bull strategist. I don't know her name. I can't remember her name. She gets a lot of praise, and I don't see the hype around her because her strategy calls in every situation have been the most obvious, the only strategy that's available to her. It was the only.
Can I give you two good examples from 2021 where Mercedes nailed the strategy? The one was in Barcelona, where they made the extra stop and they made Lewis chase, and he won the race. And I think the second one, I have to check out the second one. I think the Barcelona one was absolutely spot on. They made Lewis make that extra stop, and he chased down Verstappen and he won that race. I think that was a brilliant pit stop. I think there were two races in 2021 where they got the strategy absolutely right, and they went on to win the race. So it's not like they did not get the strategies right in 2021. If there is a part where you think that in 2021 they got it wrong, then definitely I would like to hear that.
I'm just going to ask you to mute just because you've got something in the background. But this is where a point where I know people are going to disagree with me a lot. And I know that Thanos and me discuss this heatedly a lot. And I will argue that Mercedes have a great pre-race strategy. And that's different to in-race evolutionary strategy. And I would agree that the pre-race strategy for Barcelona, which they mapped off Hungary 2019, was on paper great, and they knew that on paper they were always going to do that. However,
no, they didn't, because that was not the pre-race strategy. Lewis qualified on pole. Had Max not passed him going into turn one, they would have used the conventional strategy and they would have won the race. So you're wrong there.
It wasn't the pre-race decided strategy. They made the call late. They made a late call to bring him in, put him on fresh tires, and he told him, "You have the pace. You chase him. You chase Max," and he did. He did chase him.
Yeah, the only race you can point to in 2021 would be, I think, France. That race
France.
Yeah, France.
Yeah, France.
But that wasn't because of bad strategy. What the difference? What caused that was Lewis' in lap was slower than his previous lap. It was Lewis' in lap that cost him, not the strategy call. His in lap, I believe his in lap was half a second slower than his previous lap.
Yeah, because the team thought that they had enough buffer to come. What they didn't know was that Max was going to have an outstanding outlap. So I don't think it was just the in lap. It was because they didn't put enough buffer to cater for that.
To be honest, the only thing you can blame Mercedes for in 2021 was, but I think they took the season start they were too relaxed. They brought the upgrades really late, but even that didn't matter, right? They eventually gone on to win both championships.
Look, man, I'm not blaming Mercedes for nothing in 2021 because rules followed. They under the rules, the actual rules of the championship, they won the championship.
Yeah.
They won both championships. Yeah,
exactly.
They won
so
both
2021
the
is not a debate. All right. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I have other people with their hands up. Backstage, then Anna.
Hey Thanos, hey everyone. It's been a while since I've been. Yeah, it's been a while since I've spoken to you, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I was listening to you the other day, but I didn't want to jump in because you know why. Anyway, Carol.
Yeah. First of all, fair credit to Max. I thought, to pull back that. I know his car's quick and everything else, but that was the human element today. That was an amazing lap by Max. Just to pull that back in the final sector. There's been some data analysis to suggest that he did it all in the final corner, which is just monstrous. And the incredible lap by Max. I think Lewis realistically was as far up as he could have got. He was behind both Ferraris. That's the Leclerc penalty, not if he gets it or not. He's behind both Ferraris, Alonso, Verstappen, and a monster of a lap from Ocon. So I don't think Lewis could have really done much more today, other than maybe P5 if Ocon doesn't put that lap in.
We're reading his comments. Seems like the situation he found himself in was his doing because
exactly. Yeah. I've seen those.
So basically, the team told him no, don't do that, and he basically fought the team. They listened to him, and now he paid the price for it. So I think if he
what do you mean?
There's a tweet Lewis from Danny. There was a setup change he made that the team was saying to him, no, it's not going to be good. Don't do it. And he fought. And they said, okay, they're cool. They listened to him. And he struggled in qualifying. So that's on him.
Yeah, he got the setup wrong for today. It was his call.
How did that information come out that Lewis was one that
Lewis just said it in an interview.
He said it himself.
He said it himself.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny. No, which is kind of funny now. So all the people who were saying Mercedes didn't listen to Lewis, Mercedes didn't listen when Lewis came out last year or whenever it was and said, oh, they didn't listen to me. Mm-hmm. All the people were saying Mercedes no longer cares about him and they don't listen. Now they've listened to him and his choice was actually the wrong one. Are they going to turn around? Are they going to give him the same sort of? Are they going to give him the same sort of heat that they give the team? Because I always felt that statement. People overreacted to that.
Yeah, they took it out of context.
One, they don't know what he told them or what they didn't listen to, and two, we don't know if what he suggested, right, would have actually made any difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
But anyway, carry on backstage. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, no, I fully. Yeah, it's interesting because clearly they disagreed with him on setup matters last year and direction of development, and then this year he's been proved to be right. But then the flip side of that is that on this weekend he went a different direction, and they've been proved to be right. And it's always give and take with these kind of things.
What was he proved to be right here? Because like I said, we don't know what he told them. He just said
still qualified ahead of his teammate. I don't understand.
No, I'm not talking about that.
No, we're talking about the overall concept.
Yeah, because we don't know
talking
what
about
he told them.
Today, I'm talking about today.
No, he said Baxter mentioned that they didn't listen to him with the design of the car, and they got it wrong. And in this,
he said that after Bahrain this year.
Yeah, he said they didn't listen to me, but he didn't say what they didn't listen to. That's the thing. He just said they didn't listen. He probably could have said, "Oh, they didn't listen to me when I said move the cockpit backwards."
Exactly.
It could have been that, or he could have said they didn't listen to me when I said, "Oh, you know what? The weight distribution isn't right. You want it's too forward or it's too rearward. It's not whatever. We don't know, so it's not. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, they didn't listen to him in the how to design the overall concept of the car. Yeah. He let that statement was left open to interpretation, and everybody jumped on the argument that the team no longer supports him because they no longer listens to him.
Oh, that was bullshit.
I'm thinking, exactly, and I'm thinking, and that's where the arguments. A lot of people start saying he should leave the team because the team no longer cares about. I'm like, are you people stupid or what?
That whole thing was basically like, Lewis saying that they didn't listen to me on this particular thing, but it was a matter of engineering and data trumping the actual human element in the car.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happened today. Yes. Engineering and data trumped him because obviously he's the driver. He's in it. He knows what he's feeling, so he can tell. But if the data is saying, look,
this is the opposite way to go.
This is what you're suggesting. We get you, but what you're saying it's not going to work. This would be better for you. And he still, like he said, he fought them, and they said, okay, cool, we're going to relent. Go ahead. So him coming out and owning up to it, I appreciate that's kudos to him.
Yeah,
he still put out a P6 as well. I mean,
exactly.
to be behind, behind both the Ferraris, Alonso,
and he could have been higher up the grid. And I think if he had a second set of tires, he could have actually beaten probably, if not one, probably both Ferraris.
I was
more
thinking
fuel
he was
in the
going
car.
to be the first two rules.
No. Kingsley already explained the fuel thing already.
Yeah.
It's not. He wasn't on the fuel. It was the fact that they gave him, because he only had one set of new tires. They gave him enough fuel for
one
new
tire. Yeah.
One tire for that.
Fair.
So he wasn't on the fuel, because then he'd get into trouble.
Yeah, of course. Because we've seen him disqualified for that in the past. I
mean, he's the reason. He's funny enough. He's the reason for that rule coming into play, needing the 1 liter of fuel.
Yeah.
Remember qualifying in Canada 2010? He put it on pole and he ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
I think it was 2010, and he put it on pole and he ran out of fuel, and he had to push it all the way back up that back straight to the pit.
I'm thinking Spain 2012.
No, 2010. He qualified on pole in Canada, but he ran out of fuel.
Yeah, he still kept it though.
Yeah, but they changed the rules after. They changed the rules after that, saying no, you're going to be required a liter of fuel. So
which he then got caught by in Spain 2012.
Exactly, which he so happens to be the first one to actually get disqualified because of that rule.
So that's the rule, yeah.
So,
yeah. But just to round off what I was saying, it's just like I don't think Lewis could have done any more today. I think he did the best he could, considering that he didn't have the optimal setup, and he's qualified behind cars that. Yeah, his fault. I'm not going to dispute that. And he's admitted it. But he's done the best job he can, and that's all he can hope for. I mean, hopefully Leclerc gets a penalty, which bumps him up a little bit. But if he can get past Ocon in strategy, he can probably maybe push for a P3. But I can't see him getting any higher than that.
Yeah, I P3. Did you just say P3?
Yeah, he can challenge Sainz, I think, because we know the Ferrari race pace is crap because they just eat their tyres.
In Monaco, your race pace is irrelevant.
I know it's Monaco, but the Mercedes will need their strategy to be on point.
And it doesn't matter what strategy; they can just mirror your strategy. It doesn't
matter. I mean, all Ferrari have to do is make the pit stop, be on the hards, and go all the way to the end. There's no rocket science in this.
Yeah, but also there is a chance. I know it's only, from what I'm seeing, it's only 30% of rain tomorrow rather than 60-80 that's been said before. But if there's rain, everything goes out the window. But in a dry race,
did it not rain last year?
Yeah, it did rain last year. Yeah.
They didn't change anything. So not Monaco. I don't know why people. Monaco is on Saturday. Once you qualify, your position is almost guaranteed and sealed there.
All I'm going to say is, Kingsley, I do remember Lewis winning a wet race, not from pole, in 2008, and after binning his car. So anything is possible in the wet.
That generation of car is not this one. This car is too big for this track.
Oh, I know. But I think, give it strategy. I think it's going to be important tomorrow.
I mean, 2008, there were so many possible winners. I think this time it's only Red Bull, so it's very difficult to predict anyone else.
All right, cool. All right. Thanks, Baxter. I'm going to move on. Anna, sorry for keeping you so long. Go on.
That's okay. Hey, everyone. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to give everyone a moment. I'm sure there were a lot of other people like me who were stressing out during that qualifying. I'm sure I was extremely, extremely stressed out, and I'm just bringing everyone in for a big hug group therapy session. It's all going to be okay. And I we're going to make through this. And after telling some people to calm down after Q1, I was very stressed towards the end of Q2. So I was I had told people to calm down, and then I was myself not calm at all. So just want to give everyone a big virtual hug. That was a tough one. But also I think I've turned some kind of a corner mentally and emotionally, because I'm looking on the bright side of the fact that Mercedes had to bring these massive gigantic upgrades to Monaco, of all places, because they were forced to, because they had no other choice, and overall it went okay. There was nothing, there was no big disaster. It wasn't it Lewis at least seemed to, I don't remember if George had positive comments or not, but Lewis at least seemed happier with the car overall. And I think that we have to focus on the positives, because there's not much else to do. And I think that then there were some really, when Lewis, was it out of Q2 that he barely made it out of? He barely, technically you could say, because it was always on the last lap for all of them. But it was when he was on, and he said they played that radio on the broadcast. He was they're this is your one lap, and he's but I'm on cold tires, but he still did it. And so I think we have to focus on stuff like that, because he's doing the best that he can with what he has. And I just have to say, I know it's already been discussed, but I have to say that the idea of Lewis going to McLaren is, I'm sorry, the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I just have to, I'm sorry, but that's well, what can I say that hasn't been said already?
Yeah, Hayden, you're getting cooked for that one, dude. You're getting cooked for that
one. I'm sorry, with all due respect, that's a no. That's going to Ferrari would make more sense than and I don't think there's any sense in going to Ferrari either.
And, going Ferrari would be,
and on that note,
probably worse.
Yeah, it's going backwards. You're going backwards.
Yeah, and on that note, since obviously there's still been all that discussion this weekend, because they asked and Lewis said no, and but there's still obviously talk, because once something's out there, people are going to talk, obviously. But there was something that I think it was on the Checkered Flag podcast, their pre-race show. It was actually something that really troubled me when they were talking about the possibility of Lewis going to Ferrari. And this was their show before the weekend starts, so it was before the press conferences, before Lewis said that's not true or whatever, blah blah blah. But still, they nevertheless, the way that they were discussing it, I feel, is maybe the way a lot of other people potentially think of it, is that they were saying, they were well, if Lewis goes to Ferrari and he were able to win for Ferrari, then we could stop saying possibly the greatest driver of all, that it would be cemented as fact, basically. And I was what does this man have to do for people to recognize his achievements? We routinely hear people refer to Max as possibly the greatest, even though time will tell. But it was like they were, and these are people who these are it's not. I don't think these are really like they're not. They're a very normal, okay show and everything. So there's no. It's not like some broadcast from the Netherlands or whatever. But it was just so telling to me to hear people talk about it that way. To say that well, that would really prove that he's the greatest. If he goes to Ferrari and he can win with Ferrari. Why does he have to do that? That was super distressing to me. There's probably lots of other things to say, but just one more time, Lewis is not going to McLaren, and the very idea, you might as well have him go to Haas. I mean, seriously, at this point,
I'd send him to. I'd say go to Minardi.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, fine. Haas didn't even make it out of Q1, I guess, but nevertheless, and again, I think that people do have to remember that. With whatever the upgrades and everything, such a positive that overall it was not a huge disaster, that everybody got to see the Mercedes floor and everybody got to see the Red Bull floor. It was, for once, things were fair and even. So in that respect. But anyway, that's it for now.
All right, thanks, Anna. Backstay and then Raina, because I see Raina is into the room.
Yeah, it's just a quick one about the whole Lewis to McLaren thing. He is going to go to McLaren in IndyCar once he's retired. Thank you.
I would love that, by the way. I think that would be awesome.
Okay. Not going to happen. Raina, what's up?
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having such a beautiful, wonderful day.
Okay. Stop it. That's it. Stop pretending. This is not you.
I'm not pretending. I really hope everyone is having a wonderful day.
She's been kidnapped, people.
I have not been kidnapped. I'm just a nice person.
Okay, carry on.
I am really a nice person. I don't know why everybody's shocked. Anyways, I do hope everybody's having a great day. I don't know what you guys were talking about, so you might have to catch me up before I have any opinions.
We were talking about every and anything. Max nearly choking away a pole. That should have been a cakewalk for him.
That is Thanos' only position. The rest of us,
I think
he did very well.
They all want to give him a free. They want to give him a free pass.
Okay. I think he performed really terribly up until the last lap, and he was fucking up after fuck up after fuck up, which is why
Monaco, where
he
the fastest car
like Alonso
is not going to have the biggest margin. Therefore, other cars have the opportunity to get closer to it. Yeah.
To be honest,
was he
I
under
think
pressure
it still
in the
had
final
like a bigger
lap
margin
to deliver? Yes. Did.
Sorry, go on, Raina.
Can I finish? Yeah, okay. I think he had a bigger margin than was at the end, because I don't think that last lap was really good, but it was the last lap. I feel like throughout the qualifying session, he kind of was not on it as much as he could be.
The last lap wasn't good. It was the last sector that was good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Yeah. Basically.
And it was a phenomenal last sector.
Yeah, the last sector, because the first two sectors he was already
Let
down.
Let him finish.
But yeah, it was like
the last sector was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
Let her finish.
It was a good last sector, but he has a great car, so a good thing looks great. The way a great thing looks absolutely out of this world. Like, at the end of the day, your cars being great can help the good things you do look better than they are.
Is someone else speaking?
That's
because
one.
I can't hear anyone else.
Yeah,
I can hear you, Didi. We can hear you.
Me, you can hear me.
Oh, can you hear me?
Raina,
I can hear you.
Raina, this is what's going to happen. His fans is going to try and say it was a better lap than Singapore 2018.
Okay, so Thanos, you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, okay. So basically what I'm saying is his lap was good. His lap was good. His car makes it look great because his car allows him to do good things that end up making them look fucking phenomenal, quote unquote. That's one. Two, because he had been so off it the previous laps, it made it look like Alonso had a chance when I feel like Alonso didn't really have a chance. But this is my personal opinion. I'm not looking for anybody to tell me why it is wrong. So whatever, Max did okay. But I don't think that is his best ever. I don't know why they like to define this man by sectors, by the way. Firstly, it was sector 1 and 2 in Jeddah, best ever. So I guess if you combine sector 1 and 2 in Jeddah and sector 3 in Monaco, that's Max's best lap ever. Like, is that what we're trying to discuss? Because I don't even since when did we start this kind of behavior? Just because everybody's so desperate to please the white man and praise him and make him look like he's this superstar that has never been seen since the days of Leonardo da Vinci.
Reina, I'm with you.
I want to believe Reina did not watch the qualifying.
I watched it. I'm not saying he's a bad driver, by the way.
He made what should have been something so easy look so difficult.
That he ended up looking like he was a superstar. Exactly. Thank you very much.
It should have been a cakewalk
in the first place.
It should have been an easy pole for him.
He created the circumstances whereby he had to gain those 3 tenths. So when he did it, he now looked strong. But it was his fault he was behind Alonso in the first place. Nobody else is fault. Thank you, Thanos.
He should have never been in that position because the car he had underneath him was more than capable enough to put him at least 3 to 4 tenths ahead of Alonso. But he didn't do it. He nearly choked away what should have been an easy. Probably would have been his easiest pole.
Exactly. The only opponent you have is your teammate who has binned it in Q1. And like he literally created those circumstances. And because everybody is so desperate, literally people are on their knees waiting to suck Max's dick. The moment he does something, he's like, oh my God, I can't breathe without you. Oh my God, my heart calls your name. Blah, blah, blah.
Reina, PG-13.
Sorry.
PG-13. We're gonna bleep that part out.
Sorry about the.
But either way, I agree. I think he made it an easy situation look far more difficult than it needed to be. And sorry, when you have the car and you should, and you don't have anyone challenging you, you should be able to just relax and just put the lap time in because you have the car that's infinitely better than everybody else, and he made a pig zero of it? That's the terminology.
2016, Mercedes has the fastest car, and we are now on pole in Monaco.
Because the Red Bull was a better car in Monaco.
Wait. Can I ask Kingsley a question? Kingsley, do you think the Aston Martin was a better car today? Is that what you're saying?
Today? Yeah, they were basically matched with the Red Bull. Alonso could have gotten pole today. They weren't matched.
Okay, that's what you think.
No, they weren't.
Yes.
I think you had palm wine for breakfast. Sorry, that's what I'm saying.
I don't even get palm wine. My point is,
they were closer than they were the rest of the season, but I don't think they were bad.
No, that's not what happened.
Kingsley, I'm going to ask you a question. In Singapore 2015, right? Who had the better car, Mercedes or Ferrari?
Mercedes, of course.
Who qualified of pole in Singapore 2015?
2015, I think it was
Vettel.
Yeah, it was Vettel. Yeah.
Okay, so your argument. I just lost my chain of thought.
No, just because you were trying to argue my point for me.
But actually, hear me out. Because which car was better around this circuit than the Red Bull?
Which car was better? What year? This year?
Today. Which car was better around this circuit than Red Bull all weekend so far?
I was the Aston Martin.
I said better.
On this particular track, the Aston Martin had opportunity to put that car on pole.
Oh my God!
The power of the Red Bull is neutralized in this track. It doesn't work anymore.
Kingsley, was the Aston Martin a better car around this track than the Red Bull? It's a simple yes or no. It's a simple yes or no.
This weekend, yes. You could argue about match, yes, but the idea that Red Bull was completely dominating, it means you guys didn't watch free practice.
So you think the Aston Martin was a better car on this track than the Red Bull?
I believe Aston Martin could have put that car on.
No, you didn't. That's different. It's you're using was it subjective term? Is it subjective term? Using a subjective term.
No, I'm not. Because you are arguing that if you have the best car, you will be on pole. That's what you're arguing. And I'm telling you, there was a year Mercedes had the best car.
In Monaco 2016. No, Monaco 2016. The Red Bull was a better car around that around the track. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
No, you're arguing semantics.
No, I'm not arguing semantics.
You are saying the best car, according to you, the best car should be on pole. And I'm telling you, in 2016, Mercedes had the best car.
Kingsley, listen. Let me hear me out a second. Around Monaco in 2016, the Red Bull was the better car that weekend. Dominated that weekend. No shadow of a doubt. The better car. Singapore 2015, the Ferrari was the better car around the circuit. Dominated. No shadows of a without doubt. This weekend, the Red Bull was still the best car around the circuit.
In 2016, the Red Bull did not dominate the section. It didn't dominate that weekend.
What? Red Bull dominate? Anyway,
no.
You know what?
In free practice one, Lewis was. In free practice one, it was Lewis. I remember it vividly. In free practice one, it was.
I'm gonna move on.
It was Sebastian Vettel. In FP3, it was Red Bull. So you can't argue they were a dominant car. They weren't. The same way it was this weekend. By your own definition, if you have the fastest car, the best car, you're going to put it on pole. And I'm telling you, no, there are times that you don't have the fastest.
Which car, Kingsley? You didn't answer my question. Which car was better than the Red Bull around this track this weekend?
Which car has been better? This weekend, the Aston Martin was the better car to put it on pole. You can argue that the heavens comes, they had the opportunity, they couldn't do it, and then Max just did something.
Okay, so the Aston Martin is a better car on this track than the Red Bull.
You know what? We actually don't know, because to be fair, we've got Stroll in that car, and he was pulling up seconds at some point, and who knows, because it's Stroll. And then you've got Alonso who's past his peak, and Max, like him or hate him, he's still a talented driver. Right? We don't.
Absolutely.
No one's disputing Max's talent. But my argument is
what you said at the beginning is what I agree with. That he was lucky, and I agree with you 100%. He was lucky. He could have thrown it away. That last sector, what he did there, even I think Martin Brundle actually said it. He was throwing the card anyhow. And he was just lucky he didn't hit any of those barriers very well. And that's the truth. He was just lucky. That final sector. But what he did in that final sector, we can argue from now to the end. That was a driver pulling out everything from that car.
I'm not arguing against that point. My argument is he should have never been in that position that he needed to do that, because he has the best car in the grid, than the best car, the car that was performing better than every single car around the circuit this weekend.
This weekend, he didn't have.
Literally, everybody coming into this weekend, every single commentator and every single pundit and every single person that understands all the data and the technical limitations and etc. were saying that this was the weekend where Aston Martin and or Ferrari had a chance to take pole and to take a win. Everyone was saying that because of the fact that the Red Bull is worse in the slow and medium speed corners than those other cars. That is the only, and there's only one DRS zone, so Red Bull doesn't have their super powerful DRS. And this was the race. That's why Fernando almost got the pole. Like that's why that happened. And
I think if Max had been performing better, Alonso wouldn't have been that close.
I think that's also true. I think it's a combination of factors. Let us remember, Max has never been super great here. Max also doesn't like street tracks overall as much as he likes permanent tracks. This is his first ever pole in Monaco. So that it's a combination of factors, like everything else in Formula One always is. It's like a silly conversation. It's like 60% car, 40% driver, I think, something like that. Now in Monaco, many drivers feel that the percentage of the driver goes up.
Yeah.
Relative to the car, and I agree, because you can see that, because why else would you have like Esteban Ocon doing what he almost did, or other, and we have to, I think the best argument for Aston Martin having the slightly better car here potentially, again, these are like fine margins. It's very difficult to really say definitively they had the better car, but the fact that Stroll was so high up there, I've watched every single qualifying so far this season. He hasn't been this close to Alonso, I don't think, all season. So their car was really, really working extremely, extremely well on this circuit, and you cannot say
but we're not disputing that, but it still wasn't working better than the Red Bull, and that's my overall point. The Red Bull, when Mercedes were the best car, what?
You're wrong, Thanos.
How do I?
How do you know it wasn't working better than the Red Bull?
Because you could see it. You could see the Red Bull was infinite. Red Bull could get the lap times on the first run. No, they didn't need 2-3 laps to get the lap times.
The Aston Martin was so confident. I don't know if by FP3, they just went to go and clean up the car and race. They didn't even bother trying. They knew that car had the downforce and everything. You can actually say that Alonso choked. He was not even Max.
Kingsley, it had
Alonso
all,
choked.
again, it had all that. You know what? Let me move on, because we're not going to agree on this.
Thanos was on air when free practice was happening, so he didn't actually watch what happened over the weekend.
Who was on here when free practice?
You can excuse him for not knowing what happened over the weekend. So he came back from vacation.
I watched FP3 today.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Who was quickest in FP2 yesterday?
You should have watched the
beginning. Who was quickest in FP2 yesterday? Because you know they replay the practice sessions, right, Kingsley? So I watch both of them.
Yeah, when you watch it live, is different.
Same difference.
Same difference. Okay, I don't. This is one we're not going to agree. I can argue. Maybe you want to say. Mark put a car that should have been on pole. He didn't do it. That's fine. But I believe that that drive today, that final sector especially, when you were 2.5 tenths down on pole,
he shouldn't have been 2.5 tenths down. Anyway,
yeah, but how many times have we seen Lewis do that? How many times
Lewis
has done things like that over and over and over?
And yes,
I've never seen Lewis 2.5 tenths down and make up 3 tenths in 2 corners and take pole. Never.
And
what we've never seen Lewis needed to do that. Never seen Lewis put himself in a position where he needed to do that. No,
he did it.
No, if Lewis has the car under him and he's been performing from FP1 from practice 1 all the way up, I guarantee you he wouldn't have found himself in a situation that Max found himself in.
He did it in Q2. He did it in his lap to get into.
Yeah. And
sorry?
I mean,
no.
In Q2.
No. That's
his lap to get into Q2.
No.
Oh, you mean in the past when he's had a dominant car?
Yeah, when I'm talking about when he has a car.
I mean, someone would have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that even sometimes then there were that's kind of what he's always known for, that he could put it together at the last.
He put the entire lap he put the entire lap together.
Exactly.
But he's not gonna find it. You're not gonna see him finding himself 2-3 tenths down.
I gotta jump in here. So first of all, what I'll say is that for me personally, that was the greatest qualifying lap I've ever seen as a multi-decade F1 fan. I am not a Verstappen fan, but I thought it was incredible.
You have not been watching Formula 1 for a long time.
I have. I thought it was phenomenal.
No. You can't call that. You can't call that the best lap in a decade.
I'll tell you why I think it was.
I don't know about lap. Maybe final sector, not lap.
Oh, come on, man. The best lap in a decade?
That Sector 3 was incredible. And the last thing I'll say about that is in regards to Hamilton and Russell and the other teams, like Mercedes, up until this week was kind of similar to the Aston Martin and the Ferrari. And all that being said, I firmly believe Lewis should have qualified much higher than what he did in this race. And I do think that was an impressive show that Max put on. And I think grazing the wall 3 times required nerves of raw steel. And you heard him say that as he came into, as he came off the track. He says, wow, he goes like, we were touching walls. And so I think it was absolutely phenomenal.
You think that's the greatest qualifying lap you've ever seen?
You have not been watching.
How long you been watching?
That is
Clinton?
I mean, that statement doesn't even make any sense.
Clinton,
it wasn't even the whole lap. It was just a sector.
No. I just want to know, how long you been watching Formula 1 for, Clinton? Because if you think that's the great... So Senna putting it on pole by 2 seconds in what was it?
I remember that too. Listen, that was one of the greats as well. There are not many
this lap, what Max did today, wouldn't even make the top 1,000.
The difference is the regulations today are significantly tighter than they were when Senna pulled off that amazing miracle. And at that time,
but he had nothing to do with the regulations.
It doesn't have anything to do with the regulations.
Let me finish. Back then, the teams used to provide cars specifically for qualifying that produced significantly more horsepower, purely for a single qualifying lap. So it was a different.
Yeah, but you still had to do the lap. The regulations is irrelevant. You have a lap to do. You have a lap to do. You have a lap to do. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this. I have 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to wrap it. I think Clinton is on some.
I think he's high on some stuff.
Yeah, because saying this was the greatest
lap in a decade.
Sorry, that shit doesn't even come close.
It doesn't come close to any. Oh, come on! You can praise the
Ricciardo's pole lap in 2016 was better than this.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. One last person, and then I think I'm gonna shut the stream. I've got somewhere to go at in the next few minutes. So, who wants to get the last word? Anybody? Don't be shy. Somebody volunteer. Nobody? All right, E, you want to say something? Because you haven't been here in a while. So
I didn't want to say anything yet, but this guy's wild, isn't it? I don't know about the greatest lap ever, but it's 100% the greatest final sector. How do you pull that off? Thanos, you need to stop hating, man. Just appreciate the talent, please, for once. Just like you're coming up with excuses saying he shouldn't be in this position. Listen, it's Monaco, isn't it? Anyone can be in that position. Anything can happen. He fucked up the first bit of the lap.
Absolutely, I agree with you. For the first time, I agree with you.
3 attempts in that 3 corners or 2 corners, whatever it is. Yeah. How would you do that?
Yeah.
So if he pulled
the hardest sector result to gain time, how would you do that?
So if he pulled 3 tenths in 3 corners, it tells you how much he should have pulled in the other. What?
100%.
How many corners are on?
No, it doesn't.
How many corners are on? How many corners around Monaco? 16? 15 or 16? So if he pulled 3 tenths, in 3 corners, imagine how much he should have pulled.
Yeah, but
in
honestly,
the
that's probably desperation 3 tenths, though, isn't it? He's probably saw the dashboard and thought, "Fuck it."
But why is it? So no, thank you again. So why was he in that desperate situation? Because he didn't pull the time in the previous 12
also, you got to consider
right?
This is his first pole here. Like, consider he's probably not great qualifying wise. Even if you saw last year as well, he's got out qualifying wise. Like, you got to give him. All I'm saying is just give him his respect to it.
Is he a rookie?
What's that?
Is he a rookie?
He's not a rookie.
Let me help you here.
How can you not appreciate
Thanos
this?
is not going.
Come on.
Thanos is not going to agree with you, so you can just let it go.
Why is no one talking about Lewis slapping out George as well?
Yeah.
No one's talking about that.
Yeah.
I mean, why would we talk about that? I mean, that's inevitable, isn't it? I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. But anyway, I'm gonna end the stream, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow. So I'm gonna end it by saying, Max, he nearly choked away what should have been an easy, probably his easiest
How is it easy?
ever.
The Red Bull's not even good on you.
But he alone on that. You and Reina. You and Reina are alone that.
He basically got lucky.
This is generational hate.
You are in the minority on this one. You are in the minority.
Well, I cool. I'm cool. I'm a minority, so I'm cool.
We'll see what happens.
So I don't mind. Anyway, guys, take it easy. We catch up again.
One win closer to Lewis tomorrow, hopefully.